Be it Lord Buddha, saints like Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh, the multifaceted revolutionary Swami Vivekanand, or the legendary Queen Lakshmi Bai. India has been home to great thinkers and spiritual leaders, an ancient seat of learning, a treasury of knowledge and wisdom, traits that can be inculcated with the habit of reading. But the question is today's young generation reading? Today a reader, tomorrow a leader. This famous quote by Margaret Fuller, a celebrated 19th century American journalist, holds true even today. Reading is the pathway to leadership for youth worldwide. Along with physical books, the presence of technology is also shaping the reading habits of children today. Hello, I'm Akanksha Swaroop and I welcome you to the grand finale of Read India Celebration 2020, a competition where students from over 100 schools in various countries participated. And now, after the initial screening rounds, 16 finalists have been shortlisted. But before we meet these bright youngsters, let's welcome Raghuram Anantoj, founder of Read India Celebration and author of the book, The Everlasting Leader.
Hello, Akanksha.
Welcome to the show, Raghuram. It's the day where the participants will battle it out to the top. How do you feel about the finale?
I think it's been a journey for the last 5-6 months. I'm really excited for the grand finale, and I'm looking forward to seeing the young leaders from around the world.
Raghuram, do you believe that this initiative will manage to nudge students towards reading more?
Read India, as the name suggests, is to make students read. When we talk about reading, essentially we're talking two aspects of reading. One, reading books. The second and the most important aspect is reading self. Why do we have to read self? Because only when we can read ourselves, we can know our priorities, we can know our strengths, we can know our vulnerabilities or weaknesses. And
right.
Why should we read ourselves? That brings us to why, right? The question is to be able to know ourselves, we must read ourselves. Only when we know ourselves can we lead ourselves. And how do we know ourselves? Only through independent thinking. Now, what is at stake if you don't read yourself? Don't think independent. The chances of getting addicted to gaming, chances of getting addicted to electronic media, chances of getting addicted to gadgets, chances of getting addicted to social media, getting abused and manipulated on social media, getting addicted to smoking, alcohol and drugs becomes very real. You need to understand that there's not a lot of difference between avidya and vidya, agyan and gyan, avivek and vivek. It's just that one wrong perception, one planted belief. It's just that one wrong step you take can turn your life upside down.
On that note, let me introduce our esteemed jury. We have with us Ms. Uttara Singh. She's the director of the Sri Ram Millennium School. Thank you so much, Ms. Singh, for joining us on our competition today. Would you like to share your thoughts with us?
Read India, I think that's one of the best things that could happen if all of India would read. Like I always say that, a book is the best friend that you can always have. I'm very excited to hear the children. I'm very, very happy to know that children all across the world have joined in, and really looking forward to the evening ahead. Thank you.
And with that, let me introduce our second guest on the show today. Welcome Dr. Pradeep Ramancharla. He is the Registrar and Professor of the International Institute of Information Technology in Hyderabad. Thank you, Dr. Ramancharla, for joining our show today.
So, because reading is so important in these days where children are surrounded with lots of gadgets. So, as there is a saying that today's reader is tomorrow's leader. So, I am eager to listen to this 16 young, bright kids who are future of the country or maybe whole world.
And now let me introduce our final jurist. Joining us from New York is Rajshekhar Panisetti. He is the Senior Vice President and Senior Technology Leader for a financial organization. Mr. Panisetti, thank you so much for joining the competition. Please do share your thoughts with us.
I think looking at the opportunity and the topics I was looking at, I was amazed to see the wide variety of topics these kids are getting exposed to. I'm really looking forward for the wonderful evening listening to the young talent. Thank you for the opportunity once again.
To give our viewers a quick bird's eye view of this competition, 16 contestants have been shortlisted and divided into 3 groups based on their classes. The first category will feature 6 students from grade 5 till 7. Group 2 focuses on 5 students from grade 8 till 10. And the third group has 5 students from grade 11 and 12. All participants will briefly introduce themselves, followed by their presentation on a topic which will be given to them by our 3-member jury. The jurists will be gauging the participants based on 4 parameters: content, communication, confidence, and response to our questions. The winners from each group will be announced at the end of the show. So let's get started with the first group. On that note, let me now invite the first participant from group 1, that is Abhishri Dwivedi from Dubai. Abhishri, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So hello everybody, my name is Abhishri and I am in grade 6, Gems Modern Academy, Dubai. I am 11 years old and from a family of 7 including my grandparents. I am absolutely delighted to be a part of this journey, so I would like to first thank Read India. And a few of my interests include current affairs, technology, science and maths. And I am also a very keen debater.
We're really glad to have you on the competition today. On that note, Ms. Singh, I'd like to request you to take the presentation forward and allot a theme to Abhishri.
Should I give you the topic? Okay. So listen carefully. Your topic is very, very pertinent to today. It is Corona, crisis versus opportunity versus punishment.
To begin with, this pandemic has changed our lives forever and it will never be the same again, with us learning new experiences, new skills and new lessons. But to put it in one sentence, I feel that Corona is a punishment, but it is in the form of a crisis. And we should not be negative, we should look for good opportunities. This is a punishment to us humans from Mother Nature. We have taken away too much from her and it is Mother Nature's way of giving back to us in a negative manner. And this is a crisis as lives are being taken away and each and every single life on earth is at stake. And not only that, the economy has dropped by 3% and the unemployment has increased by 10%. This is an opportunity for us to look to learn new skills and get ready for more unknown and uncertain times as we don't know what the future has in hold for us.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. Beta, you said that it is an opportunity, it is a punishment, and for a child of your age, I want to know, you said that it is time to, evolve from within also. So how have you evolved as a person, if I ask you, Abhishek, during this pandemic?
Yes, so I have actually tried to look at my weak spots and improve them. So as I have said, I found out that my reading and listening skills could have been improved. So I searched for competitions or celebrations that could help me with this, and I did as many as possible.
On that note, let me quickly introduce Akash Madaram, who's joining us from Canada. Thank you for joining our competition, Akash. And let me quickly introduce you to our jurist, Dr. Pradeep Ramancharla, who is going to be allotting you your theme right now. Dr. Ramancharla, please go ahead.
Here is the topic for you. How to draw the line between need and greed.
First of all, when you're trying to draw the line between need and greed, when you're describing need is something that's only necessary. Greed, on the other hand, is asking more than you actually need, and it could harm other people around you in a negative manner.
Can you give one example from your own life where you could draw this line between need and greed?
One time, maybe when when you're going shopping. Let's take a simple example. When you're trying to go shopping, you always want to say, oh, this would be nice if I had this would be nice if I had that, right? When you're going shopping, but then but your list is that you have to go with what you actually need. Don't go like above and beyond and try to buy everything. You have to stick to the bare necessities of what you need. You shouldn't overpay.
All right, now let me quickly introduce Khushi from Delhi. Khushi, would you like to introduce yourself? And Mr. Rajshekhar Panisetti is going to be taking this forward.
Greetings everyone, I'm Khushi Seth from grade 7 of Tigo International School, Vasant Vihar, New Delhi. And today, firstly, I'd like to share with you a little bit more about myself. So for starters, I'm a bookworm. I love reading books by various authors of various genres, and these authors have inspired me so much that I've even started writing my own books. To convey my messages to others, I've started publishing blogs and making animated videos, and I've even learned coding, through which I'm making websites. After all, it is never too early to start. So that was all there is to know about me.
Wow. I'm really amazed, Khushi. I wasn't expecting a young author, publisher, blog writer. But for today, I think like maybe in the next few minutes, if you can talk about creativity versus knowledge versus logic.
So let me start with a quote by Albert Einstein. Creativity and imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited, while imagination encircles the world. So today I'd like to talk about what is superior, creativity, knowledge or logic. So let us start by understanding what is knowledge. So knowledge is a database. Knowledge are facts that have been based on the knowledge that has been derived from our predecessors and their experiences. So then in that case, what is logic? Logic is the bridge between creativity and knowledge. And this is pandemic. To find a vaccine, a cure for this, we need creativity. To find a way to live a new lifestyle, we need creativity.
With a combination of presentations and Q&A rounds, the jury members continue to interact with the remaining contestants from Group 1.
So the topic for you is a progressive society. Is it people or state driven?
Okay, so societies are the aggregate of people who have the same thought, and there are and the progressive society which has an overall development, that is in science, economical, technology, academic, social and political field, hence overall development. So the question that arises is that should a progressive society be state driven or should it be people driven? It all starts from a Mesopotamian civilization where the first laws were penned down. So what was the need of having laws? It was a time when people started to come together and people having different thoughts, because they were different people having different thoughts led to conflict, and that is the time when people realized that there is a need of having a body which should have control over these social issues. But if there is a bright side, there is a dark side, and the dark side is that the people in charge of the authorities started to mold the laws according to them, like they imposed any tax demand on the citizens. So this led to injustice, and eventually discrimination, inequality, prejudices became the main pillars of this society. And it is true that whenever something illicit will happen, whenever discrimination will take place, there will be riots, there will be revolution.
I'll firstly say hello everybody, my name is Sandy Pawar, and today I'm going to speak on entrepreneur versus a job seeker. Entrepreneur is an individual who creates a new business with innovative ideas, and a job seeker is an individual who gives his time, skill and knowledge to an organization in return of a fixed salary.
I wanted to speak a little about the climate emergency that USA is burning down just like Australia did, and we need to stop it. And that's when a girl my age named Lissy Priya inspired me, she motivated me, and I wanted to be just like her. So I started from today. I planted more trees, and I want to convince more people starting from now so that they help me. And not only can we make my society, I also want to make my locality more cleaner and greener.
The next batch comprises students from class 8th to 10th A total of 5 participants try to impress the jury.
So the topic for you is merit-based society versus group or people-controlled society, pros and cons.
Merit-based society will give more importance to hard work, values, honesty, integrity, and this will also get rid of corruption, the biggest bane and pain of our nation. That is a group-controlled society. Now I'm going to begin with the cons. A merit-based society will be run by high IQ people. But what you need is EQ, the emotional quotient to handle large masses. Meritorious people are not necessarily equipped with this. In most cases, it is seen that they are not highly effective team members. But if you look around, most leaders of a country or a business organization are not necessarily toppers, but they know how to form good teams, and these groups, they run the show. A society has all kinds of people, intelligent, mediocre, poor performers, etc. A good society needs to move forward with these people and create a place for everybody. In a merit-based society, it will be difficult for the average person to succeed and survive, which will be very unfair, as we see many average students doing very well in business, and toppers, in fact, end up working for them.
Belief-based society versus independent thinking society, merits and demerits.
Okay, so a belief-based society is something that you strongly believe in, and it's what your morals are and what your strengths are, and your merits of that could be it sticks by you through something, and you really have a strong belief in it. Con can be that you will end up sometimes if you believe in something a little too much, it might not always turn out how you want it to, and it can definitely completely backfire on you or stuff like that.
A good leader should always. Now, how you finish that sentence could reveal a lot about your leadership style. Maxwell once said leadership is an influence. Now, there are many different kinds of leaders. Therefore, there are no set qualities that we have to present in all leaders. Rather, an effective leader draws from a range of personal qualities to help them deal with different circumstances and challenges. It's always wise to seek the contributions of others who are strong in it. Now, values or valuables. Values are just a basic and fundamental belief that guide us or motivate attitudes or actions. They help us to determine what's important to us.
Culture is something which is so beautiful, and it's just like knowledge. It's never ending and limitless, so that we all can have our own perceptions of culture rather than blindly following what others do or say. For example, if the whole world were to follow only one culture, then it would be like trapping all of us in a claustrophobic room filled with thoughts, opinions, and judgments dictated by others. And that is not at all how a global world should look like. Everyone should have their little flavors, and so that they make up all the different ingredients and make up the best dish in the world.
Vanya, I have a small question for you. So, is current education able to make equal society? It is my comment is on gender equality.
Yes, sir. I would like to share my own experience. As we all know that empowerment of women has been a highly debated topic since some years. It has also shown improvement in the status of women in the society. But somewhere now it is arising the women are being given more recognition and the men are given less. So here gender equality is still not being equalized. So current education system obviously focuses on providing gender equality. We all study most of us people study in a co-ed school, and both of them are provided equal opportunities. But I believe that there is still a need to develop an equal system. Recognition to both should be equal, not less, not more.
Finally, it was time for the third and last category, 5 students from class 11th to 12th make it to this batch.
My question for you, Chingalemba, is a cultural shift to nurture creativity from being part of the problem to being part of the solution.
I believe that our present culture is new and modern. So I think that we should evolve our culture from traditional methods to new modern ones so that we can improve our creativity. For example, like now currently we are facing the problem of online classes. So traditionally we used to go to school and we used to meet our teachers there and physically present in the class, and we used to listen to the teachers. But now as the present crisis is happening, we should change our traditional culture. Like we should get creative. We should try to be like properly present in the online classes and not bunk it or something. And we should always be ready to take changes and evolve ourselves. Not only like the current surrounding, and not only the planet should evolve, but our culture also should evolve.
Here is a topic for you, that is people in policy, courage versus fear. Go ahead.
Yes, the medicine is harsh, but the patient requires it in order to live. Should we withhold the medicine? No. This quote was said by the revolutionary Margaret Thatcher, the first female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. I bring up Margaret Thatcher here because she is one of the few examples in modern politics who had core principles and solemnly stood by them. Every political issue is a double-sided coin, with large factions supporting both sides. It is the policymaker's role to strike that delicate balance between these two factions and to fashion a policy that would best suit the country.
Technology for evolution versus technology for devolution, that is like addiction and abuse.
Technology, I believe, is a weapon which can break and make the world. It can change the world for the positive and for the negative as well. Today we are seeing that in these COVID-19 pandemic times, we've seen that there have been technological innovations. As they say that the need is mother of invention, and today as we are coming across various challenges, we have seen various technological innovations, and we see emerging AI technologies, IoT, global computing, and this is what has brought us together. Indeed, technology is a medium through which today we are together and able to celebrate this occasion. So again, there are two sides of a coin, but it depends on which side we are.
In my personal opinion, I do feel like knowledge is key, knowledge is power. And without having knowledge, it's not possible in 20 to 30 years for the planet to still be alive. If people are not aware of situations like global warming, and with devices in front of our hands, especially when there was the Lebanon explosion, within days people were able to find out about it. And there were many online donations that people could give to help the people out there. So by having more knowledge and being able to use the knowledge in the correct way, it's able to help people. And I definitely see that in the future, if we focus more on knowledge and have more of a knowledge-based culture, it's definitely helping society more. I'm not saying commerce-based culture isn't needed, because obviously to have international affairs and stuff, we need to have trade and other things with countries. But knowledge-based is definitely far more significant for society to go ahead.
A belief-based society works on the principle of traditional values and ethics, while an independent thinking society keeps evolving and changing its definition according to the individual's present. The pros of a belief-based society as opposed to an independent thinking society are firstly solidarity. People belonging to a particular religion or belief closely identify themselves within their group members. Secondly, the one more pro is their ethical values. Religion helps in the development of ethical values, for example, caring for your parents, protection of small children, helping the poor or disabled, and serving values like honesty. Now coming to the cons of a belief-based society as opposed to an independent thinking society, firstly, it forms a feeling of groupism. I believe that religion and belief divides people as much as it makes people come together.
So if it's a hypothetical situation, like let's say you're supposed to live in a very restricted belief-based society, let's say women are suppressed. So what would you do, being part of that community? What would be the 3 things? How you survive there, and how would you change things there?
All right, great question. Thank you for asking that. I believe my first step would obviously be to speak out against all the discrimination or the atrocities that are committed on women or any other group or minor group in the society. Doing that, I feel, would obviously make me very weak to a certain scrutiny from the society itself, because that would put me in a very dangerous position. But as far as I am concerned, that is all right if I am making a whole new movement of women and the other minor groups to stand up and raise their voice together. So I think, that's where I stand on this topic.
Thanks, Zara.
After a marathon of presentations, the jury tally up the scores and decide the winners. In the first category, Parth Banerjee of New Delhi walks out with the top prize.
It was a great moment actually, because I heard so many people, I heard so many participants, their thoughts, and that has really helped me understanding the topics in a much better way.
In category 2, Ashwin Sridhar from Bengaluru, Karnataka ends up at the number 1 spot.
I'm very glad to have won the first place in my category of grades 8 to 10. It was an extremely joyous occasion for me and my family, and I would like to thank my parents, grandparents and my teachers for encouraging me throughout this celebration.
And the winner of the third and the final category is Zara Sheikh from Guwahati, Assam.
From this competition, I won a laptop and a cash prize, which I obviously plan to use for my college days.
WION and Team India Celebration congratulate all the participants.